Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory, and welcome back to the dark. If you enjoy stories that come from the edge of silence, hit subscribe and let me know where in the world you're listening from. Tonight's story isn't a myth. It isn't a ghost tale. It's about someone real, someone who doesn't speak unless the recorder is rolling. This is the story of the Quiet Man. The package wasn't labeled, no return address, just my name scrawled across a padded envelope in black ink, streaked like someone had written it while shaking. Inside, one cassette tape, Maxell, 90-minute, dusty, no case, no markings, no note. I held it in my palm for a long time. I hadn't owned a working tape player in years, but I knew what this was about, or at least I thought I did. I run a true crime podcast called Archive Deep. Nothing fancy. Niche audience. Mostly cold cases, missing persons, unsolved strings the police never connected. The episode I just finished was on the Echo County tapes. A run of unexplained disappearances between 1996 and 2000. 6 people, different towns, different states, no connections, except one. Each victim left behind a cassette player, already cued to the end of a blank tape. No fingerprints, no sound. At least, that's what police report said. But last week, I got an email from a burner account. No greeting, just, you missed the voice. You weren't listening hard enough. Then the address, and a time, and the promise, he's not finished. I rented a cabin near the old county line just inside the woods. Secluded, quiet, the kind of place that swallows sound. No Wi-Fi, no neighbors, no exit cameras. Perfect for an urban legend to become real. I bought a used cassette deck at a thrift store outside town, hooked it to my interface, ran it through cleanup software, then finally I hit play. The tape hissed, a long stretch of nothing, then a sound, a scrape, then a voice, barely there, dry, measured, male. Tell me what you heard. Silence again, more hiss, then a faint reply, crackling, terrified, a woman. I didn't hear anything. The male voice again. Then why are your eyes bleeding? I stopped the tape, took my headphones off. My heart was hammering. I hadn't even noticed I was sweating. I rewound, played it again, same order, same line. But at the very end, right before the tape ended, a third voice whispered, "Is he listening now?" That night, I couldn't sleep. The forest outside was quiet, too quiet, not a single cricket, no wind. And then, at 3:19 a.m., I heard it, a single knock. At the door, no footsteps, no second knock. Just one. I sat up, phone in my hand, no bars. The knock didn't come again. I waited till morning, opened the door. Nothing there except a second cassette. No envelope, just the tape, balanced upright on the welcome mat like someone wanted me to see it immediately. This one had something scrawled on the label, a date, June 4th, 1997. And one word, repeat. I haven't played it yet. Not because I'm scared of what's on it, because I think I already heard it in my dream. And in the dream, the voice didn't ask a question. It just said, "You're the one who talks, I'm the one who listens. Now, show me what it sounds like when you scream." I played the second tape at 2:14 a.m. Don't ask me why. I sat there, in the dark, headphones on, mic off. The cabin creaked like old bones settling. Outside, the trees didn't move. I pressed play. Same hiss, but faster this time, like breath through gauze. Then, footsteps, sharp, measured, like boots on old tile. Then the voice, "Tell me what you remember." A different woman this time, shaky, out of breath. I was in the hallway. There was a mirror. I looked in, and She stopped. There was someone behind me. The voice asked, "Was it me?" Silence. Then the woman screamed, loud, cut off halfway through. The tape hissed again. More footsteps. Then the male voice returned, closer now, louder, like it was pressed to the mic. "He's listening now." The tape clicked and stopped. I took the headphones off. Every hair on my body was standing. I looked at the recorder. It was still running, even though the tape had ended. The waveform on the interface was jumping. I hit stop, played it back. The hiss was still there, but underneath it, I heard something else, a whisper, faint, right at the edge of human hearing. I boosted the gain, slowed it down. It was a sentence. "He's in the recording booth." "I'm in the recording booth." I jumped up, spun around, nothing, no one. But the air felt wrong, heavy, warm in the corners, cold in the center, like something had just moved through the space I was standing in. I grabbed my phone. No signal, no surprise. I turned all the lights on. Didn't help. Every shadow looked like it was hiding something just out of frame. I went outside, walked a circle around the cabin. No footprints, no tire tracks, just trees. Tall, still. Too still. And right before I stepped back inside, I heard the knock again. 3 taps from inside the wall, behind the tape shelf. I pressed my ear to it. Nothing. Then I stepped back, and one of the tapes fell off the shelf on its own, clattered to the floor. It wasn't one of mine. It was blank, except for the words, "Don't look behind you." I didn't, not right away. I left the cabin, drove into town, got to the diner at sunrise, slammed coffee and tried to act normal. The waitress smiled like she knew I was pretending. "You staying up in the woods?" she asked. I nodded. She didn't smile again, just said, "You hear him yet?" I asked, "Who?" She said, "The one who listens. He used to come through here, back when there were payphones. Every time someone went missing, the booths would ring for hours after." One time, I answered. It was just breathing. I never slept right again. I left cash and got back in the car, drove back to the cabin. Everything looked the same, except for the door. It was open, and inside on the floor, placed neatly on my chair, a 3rd tape. This one wasn't blank. It had a label. March 9th, 1998, Morgan P. Underlined, twice. I played it. This time, the voice was different. Not a woman, a child, maybe 10, scared, whispering. He was in my closet. He had a coat that didn't move. He asked if I knew what my voice sounded like backwards. The male voice asked, "Did you?" The kid sobbed. He said if I get it wrong, I don't get to wake up. Silence, then static. Then the child's voice again, but reversed, fast, gibberish. Then a single line, clean and forward. "He's behind you." I turned. Nothing. But my recorder, it was running again. And the live waveform wasn't showing my breathing. It was showing someone else's. The recorder was running again. I hadn't touched it. The red light blinked steadily, picking up a long, slow inhale that wasn't mine. I unplugged it, took out the batteries. It kept going. I smashed it against the wall. It stopped. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like 5 minutes. I opened every drawer in the cabin, looked for more tapes, found 4, all blank, or they were supposed to be, until I stacked them. Then I saw it, one word etched across the spines: listening. I left them on the porch, packed a bag, drove, didn't know where I was going, didn't care. 20 miles out, I stopped for gas. When I came back from the bathroom, the driver's door was open. My keys were still in the ignition, and on the passenger seat, another tape. This one was different, labeled in red, J. Hart, April 13th, 2025. That's tomorrow. My name is Jason Hart. I didn't pick it up. I didn't touch it, but the tape was warm. Not sun warm, body warm, like someone had just pulled it out of a machine. I drove back to town, straight to the sheriff's office, told the deputy I was being stalked. He asked by who. I showed him the tape. He looked at the label, paused, then said, "Where did you say you got this?" I told him. He asked if I'd played it yet. I said no. He took it into the back room. I waited in the lobby. 10 minutes, 15. Then I heard the door lock behind the desk. Footsteps, clicking, not boots, hard soles, old, measured. I stood, called for the deputy. No answer. Then from the intercom above the door, "Tell me what you heard." It wasn't a speaker anymore. It was the tape. I walked toward the door. It opened before I touched it. Inside, empty hallway, no deputy, just the cassette deck, plugged into a portable speaker, still playing. Did you tell them about me? Did you say what I did? Did you lie? Then silence, then a new voice. Female, panicked. "You said if I talked, you'd let me go. Please, he's still in here. He's in the walls." Click. Tape stopped. The sheriff stepped out from the back hallway. He looked tired and said nothing, just handed the tape back to me and whispered, "Don't come here again." I left. I didn't go back to the cabin. I went to a motel 3 towns over, paid in cash. Didn't tell them my name. That night, I locked the doors, blocked the windows, wrapped the tape in a towel and stuffed it under the sink. Set the camera to record, just in case. Fell asleep around 4 a.m. I woke up to the sound of the tape deck playing again, but I never brought a tape deck. The voice was mine, reading something aloud, a transcript, the end of a podcast. And that was the final episode of Archive Deep. Thank you for listening. I hope you don't rewind. Then silence. Then a new voice whispering over the speaker. "You said tomorrow, but you meant tonight." I tore open the bathroom cabinet. The tape was gone. Only thing inside, my recorder, still off. But the red light was blinking anyway, and on the screen, a new file name. Final 041325.wave. I didn't press play. I already knew what it would say, because somewhere in the motel, behind the walls or under the floor, I could hear him breathing, waiting for me to listen. I pressed play. I don't know why. Maybe I had to. Maybe I already knew the second I saw the file name that this wasn't about curiosity anymore. It was a warning. I turned off all the lights in the motel room, sat on the edge of the bed, laptop open, headphones in, breathing slow. The files started the same way they all do. A hiss, then static, then a scrape, then a voice. My voice, desperate, whispering. He's inside. Another sound, muffled banging, clattering, a door slamming. I don't know where the mic is. I'm just talking. I don't know if this is even recording. A pause, then breathing, short, shallow. He let me see his face, my own voice cracking. It wasn't a mask. There was nothing underneath, just skin and sound and teeth where the eyes should be. The tape hissed louder, a high whining frequency like an old CRT dying. Then a new voice, his voice, the quiet man. Now say it backwards. Then screaming, my screaming, long, broken, then gurgling like something cut the sound off at the source. The file ended. 2 minutes, 49 seconds, exactly. I checked the timestamp. Created April 13th, 2025 at 11:37 p.m. That's tonight. I looked at the clock. 11:04 p.m. I slammed the laptop shut, unplugged it, tore out the battery, I could still hear the whisper in my head. Say it backwards. The knock came again, this time on the window. 3 taps, software, surgical. I turned the lamp back on. The knock stopped. Nothing outside, no shadows, no footprints. I checked the bathroom again. Still no tape recorder, still no tape. But the mirror had fog on it, like someone had been breathing heavy inches from the glass, and written across the fog, my name, smeared with a fingertip. Jason, all caps, no question mark, just a statement. I wiped it away. My hand came back wet and red, not blood, but something close, slick and dark. I grabbed my bag, left the motel, drove until the sun came up. 3 towns over, I stopped at a coffee shop, paid in cash, checked my phone. Still dead, but I had a voicemail icon anyway. 1 message, no number. I pressed play, no greeting, just static. Then, he only kills the ones who talk. Click. I smashed the phone against the table, broke it into 3 pieces. A girl at the counter watched me but didn't say anything. I left, drove to the police again. New station, new county. I told them everything. They didn't laugh. They didn't question it. They just listened quietly. 1 officer left the room. The other leaned forward and said, "We had a file like that. One of ours went missing a few years back, found his recorder still running." I asked if they had the file. He nodded, told me to wait, then left. Me alone in the interview room. 5 minutes passed, 10. Then the lights flickered once, and the speakers in the ceiling turned on. "Tell me what you heard." I stood, no one outside the room, no one in the hall. I grabbed my bag and ran. Back to the car, back to the road. I drove until my vision blurred, pulled over at an abandoned rest stop on Highway 23, sat in the front seat and waited. 11:37 p.m. came and went. No sound, no knock, no voice. Maybe I broke the pattern. Maybe it was never real. Then my recorder, dead for 2 days, clicked on by itself. The screen lit up. A new file was already named. Recording 041425.wave, tomorrow's date. I opened the file, expecting silence. Instead, I heard it again, my voice. "Don't let him in this time. He watches through the mic. He's already listening." Then another voice, not mine, not his. "One of you gets out. The other gets recorded." Click, end of file. And on the dashboard of my car, right where I hadn't left it, another cassette, same handwriting, same label. J. Hart, final edit. I didn't touch the cassette for hours. I just sat there in the car, staring at it like it might catch fire if I blinked. Final edit. Same handwriting, same tape stock. Maxell, 90 minutes. Dusty, but not old, not aged, like it had been recorded today or tomorrow. I drove until I found an old supply shed off a fire trail, chained but empty. Broke the lock, parked inside, pushed a filing cabinet in front of the door. Only then did I press play. It started differently. No hiss, no ambient noise, just the sound of someone breathing. Then, footsteps, not in the recording, behind me. I paused the tape. Silence. I played it again. My voice, whispering, scared. Me from a day ago, maybe 2. He's following the broadcast. He listens when we speak, even if we think no one else is. Another voice, not mine, not the quiet man. Someone crying. "You said it wouldn't hurt. You said I wouldn't remember." My voice again. "I was wrong. The tape, wind, and edit. A slice of audio spliced out and stitched over." Then another voice. Calm, male, deep, his voice. "Tell me what it sounded like." Another edit, hard cut. Now I was screaming. No context, No warning, just pure panic. Then silence. Then a distorted clip 2 seconds long of a voice, whispering directly into the mic. He hears you breathing. Then something worse, something I couldn't explain. The sound of my voice, playing back a recording of me hearing the tape in real time. The recording was playing me listening to the recording. A feedback loop. A spiral. You're inside it now, the voice said. This is the edit. This is where it ends. I ripped the tape out of the player. The cabin felt too quiet, like the sound had been drained. I turned to grab my bag. On the table, another cassette. I hadn't brought it in. I didn't hear a knock. I didn't hear the door. It was just there. No label, no handwriting, just one word scratched into the plastic casing. Answer. I didn't. I put it in my bag, took my phone out, still no bars, but one voicemail, new, time-stamped 5 minutes before. I played it. The voice wasn't mine. It wasn't his. It was a woman, breathless, crying. Jason, I know you don't remember me, but I think I'm next. I think. Static. Then her voice again, quieter. I found something. It's not a person. It's not a killer. It's a recorder. And it doesn't care who talks. It just wants the final word. Click. Message ended. I called the number back. Disconnected. The voicemail vanished from my inbox. I looked at the recorder. Still powered off. Still blinking. The red light beat like a pulse. I opened the bag. Took out the unlabeled cassette. Put it in. I didn't press play. It played itself. A new voice. The quiet man. Tell me what you'll say when you die. I didn't respond, but in the background of the tape, I could hear someone answering. My voice, screaming the words. Don't record it. Don't play it back. Don't let them... Cut. Silence. Then, one final sentence. Spoken directly into my ear. Not from the tape, from the room. It's already been edited. The recorder stopped, and on its screen, live mic on. I wasn't recording anymore. I was being recorded. I destroyed everything. Phone, laptop, recorder. I burned the tapes in a dry creek bed behind the shed. Watched the plastic hiss and bubble, inhaled the poison like it might chase him off. It didn't. I drove north, no destination. Just movement, gas stations, side roads, ditching credit cards, leaving the car 3 counties over and hitching rides with anyone who didn't ask questions. No tech, no contact. I found a commune in the mountains, off-grid, no towers, no electricity, just old cabins and people who lived without noise. They let me stay. I didn't give a name. They didn't ask. My first night, I slept better than I had in weeks, until the generator kicked on. Just for a moment, just enough to power one thing, an old speaker wired to a dead radio, and from it, through the static, tell me what you heard. I ripped the wire out of the wall. No one else heard it. They just stared at me like I'd cracked. I said I had night terrors. They nodded like they understood. I knew they didn't. I asked them how often the generator kicked on. They said it hadn't in months. Day 3, I helped chop wood with a guy named Reed. Nice. Quiet. Didn't say much. As we worked, he asked, "You do audio work?" I froze. "What?" "Just your voice. Sounds familiar, like I've heard you through speakers before." I said no. Told him I was a park ranger. He laughed. Said he didn't think so. Walked off. That night, he sat next to me at dinner. Said nothing for 20 minutes. Then leaned over and whispered, "I dreamed you screaming last night. You were in a hallway, chained to a mic stand. You kept saying the same sentence over and over. Erase me, erase me, erase me. You want to talk about that? I didn't eat the rest of my food. Left the cabin. Slept in the woods. No lights, no blankets. Just stars and fear. I woke up to the sound of breathing. Close, deep, like someone crouched over my chest. But when I sat up, no one was there. Only my boots, filled with static. I dumped them out. A small speaker fell from inside. Still humming, still blinking. I ran. Didn't pack, didn't say goodbye. Hiked until the woods opened up into an old mining road. Hitched again. No phones. No talk. Just a map and the promise of silence. I stayed at a fire watch station 80 miles off grid. Solar power only. No radios, no cell towers. Just me and a journal. I started writing it all down. Every tape, every sound, every second. On day 6, the generator failed. Lights out. Silence. Perfect. Then I heard a voice, not through speakers, from the guy I was sharing the tower with. His name was Micah. Normal guy. Big laugh. Spoke in stories. That night, he stood up from his bunk, eyes open but blank, walked to the middle of the floor, and said, in the quiet man's voice, "This is not a broadcast. This is a biopsy. We're taking your voice, one cut at a time." He collapsed. Didn't remember any of it. I packed again, left before dawn, and before I made it out of the tree line, I found a cassette nailed to a pine tree. No label, just a piece of paper taped to the front. You can't destroy what listens. You can only feed it. I threw it in a ravine, hiked until my legs gave out, slept in the dirt, woke up to a voice in my ear, my own, whispering, "He doesn't need tape anymore. You do it for him." Then I realized my mouth was moving. I was asleep, talking, and I was repeating the same phrase over and over. I heard it, I heard it, I heard it. I screamed until my voice cracked. There were no microphones, no tech, no signal. But deep in my throat I could feel it. Something buzzing, something recording. I knew I couldn't run anymore. Every highway, every radio tower, every silence had all looped back to him. The quiet man wasn't just a killer. He was a signal, a contagion. And somewhere in all this, someone had pressed record for the first time. I needed to find that person. I started where the earliest victim was found, 1996. A girl named Corey Halden disappeared near an old ranger station in North Dakota. Never found. Just a cassette recorder and a torn-up backpack. The case files were public mostly. But buried in a forum from 2008, I found a name. Jonas Elwright. A technician who discovered the recorder before the cops, not listed anywhere official. He claimed he heard something on the tape the police didn't. Posted once. Never again. I tracked him for weeks. Dead end. Until I found a hospice registry in Montana. One Elwright, age 74. No known family. Patient note said. Mute, blind, no history of trauma. When I called the nurse's station, they said he didn't speak, but he mumbled. At night, in his sleep, over and over, the same sentence. Do you know what your name sounds like when it's dying? I got there just before midnight. The building was small, rural, smelled like antiseptic and old soap. They let me in because I lied. Said I was a family friend. Said I had tapes he'd want to hear. That part was true. The nurse told me he hadn't responded to a visitor in 10 years. I walked into the room. One window, one chair. He was lying on his side facing the wall, head shaved. Bandaged where his ears used to be, lips moving, no tongue. I sat next to him, laid a tape recorder on the nightstand. Pressed record. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence hang. After 3 minutes, he turned his head and smiled. Not at me, at the tape. Then he mouthed something, over and over. The same sentence. I leaned closer. It talks in edits. It never speaks until you do. Then louder. Still no tongue. Still no voice. Just the sound of air vibrating against his throat, like it wasn't coming from him. You don't record it. It records you back. I asked him where the first tape came from. He started shaking violently. The monitors beeped. The nurse rushed in. I stepped back. They sedated him, but as he slipped under, he whispered something I'll never forget. He's been inside you since the first time you listened. You'll hear your own death in someone else's voice. I left, didn't sleep, just sat in my car, letting the recorder play back. Nothing but static. But when I slowed it down frame by frame, I heard a faint breath. Mine. And under it, another. Someone else. And just at the end of the track, a voice said, "We're ready for your last word." The file renamed itself. Final speech. While I didn't press play, I threw the recorder in the trash and drove until I saw nothing but snow. Parked, opened the glove box, another tape already waiting, labeled with tomorrow's date, and scrawled beneath it in blood-red ink. If you won't speak, we'll find another. I started the car, turned on the radio, white noise, then voices, not broadcast, not talk radio. People screaming, all in different voices, all saying the same thing. I heard it, I heard it, I heard it. Then beneath them all, the quiet man, calm, patient. Tell me how your silence ends. I stopped talking completely. No voice, no breath, louder than a whisper. For a week, I didn't speak a word. Not to strangers, not to myself, not even in thought if I could help it. I disconnected everything. No recorder, no phone, no power. I lived out of my car, deep in national forest land, using gas station cash to survive. I wrote my thoughts instead of saying them, but that didn't stop it, because the voices kept showing up. Other people's mouths, saying things I was thinking. Day one, I asked a gas station clerk where the restroom was in my head. I didn't say it. She pointed and said, "Back by the ice chest." I nodded, walked past, didn't think much. But then she added, quieter, like a joke, "You don't want to hear what's playing in there?" I stopped, turned. The door to the restroom had a tiny speaker above it, crackling. Not music, not a public announcement. A voice. Mine. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to. I left before she could ask my name. Day 3. A kid on a trail passed me. Backpack. Earbuds. Didn't even look up. But just as we crossed paths, he muttered, "He's watching now. He doesn't need your voice anymore." I stopped, turned. The kid didn't react. Didn't even look at me. Just kept walking. And a half-mile later, when I passed a tree with a notch carved into the bark, I saw something wedged inside. A cassette, wrapped in a torn scrap of paper, scrawled in black marker, "You're already speaking." Day 5. I found a motel. Needed a shower, food, sleep. Paid in cash. Didn't sign a name. The clerk looked up at me and smiled too wide. Said, "Room 8. I hadn't asked for a room number. She slid me a key. When I got to the door, the number was scratched off. Inside, no lights. Just a recorder on the bed, already playing. I unplugged it, threw it in the toilet, flushed twice. Then I heard her voice behind me. "You're making more tapes than he ever did." I turned. The clerk stood in the doorway, eyes glassy, voice monotone. She held a tape in her hand, pressed it against her throat, and said, without emotion, "Your silence is the loudest thing he's ever heard." She dropped the tape and walked away. Didn't even blink. I packed again, left everything but my notebook and the knife I'd started carrying. Went north, deep north, cold mountains, isolation. I found a ranger station sealed for the season. Broke in, boarded the doors, started writing what I wouldn't say. I wrote this sentence 50 times. I'm not him. I'm not him. I'm not, until the pen snapped, until the lights flickered, until I heard the door behind me creak. I turned. No one there, but the floor creaked again, and a voix no mine whispered, "You should have screamed when you had the chance." I ran outside. Snow everywhere. No tracks but mine. But overhead above the trees there were speakers, rusty, hung from old wires, dead power lines. They shouldn't work, but they were buzzing. One of them clicked on, played a whisper. My whisper, one I'd said in the car days ago, alone. No mic, no tape. If I die in silence, maybe I die alone. Then laughter, soft, mechanical, and a final sentence on repeat. "You're being dubbed, you're being dubbed, you're being dubbed." I left the mountains, went lower, where it was warmer, louder. I figured maybe more noise meant less chance for him to echo. But silence wasn't the problem anymore. He didn't need my voice. He needed my shape. I started noticing the gaps. I'd wake up somewhere different than I'd fallen asleep. My clothes would be changed. The knife would be clean. One morning, I found my notebook filled with pages I didn't write. Sentences that sounded like me, but weren't. He speaks with my mouth. He moves when I'm empty. I'm quieter than I've ever been. I stopped sleeping more than an hour at a time. Stayed in rest stops, all-night diners, benches with one eye open. Still, the blackouts came. Little flickers, then longer ones. Whole days gone. I woke up in a car I didn't rent. Gas tank full, cassette on the seat. This one didn't have a label. Just a single line scratched into the plastic. You drove us here. I pressed play. My voice again. This time, calm, controlled. We're almost done. One more tape. Then he wears you full time. Then a second voice. Not mine, not his. A third. You volunteered the second you spoke. He didn't take your voice. You gave it to him. The tape ended with a sound I'd never heard before. A single breath, but it felt close, like it had come from my own mouth. I threw the tape out the window, drove 6 hours without stopping. Then I blinked, and I was back in the parking lot. Same one I left from. Same cassette on the seat. The quiet man was learning how to reroute me, how to rewind me. I walked into a truck stop bathroom, looked in the mirror. The reflection blinked first. I moved my hand. The mirror delayed. 2 seconds late. I opened my mouth, didn't speak, but the reflection did. Let me finish the recording, just sit still. I punched the mirror, glass cut deep. My hand bled all over the sink. When I looked up again, the mirror was blank. Just a dark surface, like a turned-off screen. And from inside the stall behind me, a voice whispered, "You're almost synced." I didn't run this time. I opened the stall door. Empty. Just a note taped to the back wall. Last edit starts tonight. We need your body to end the file. I left. Found a payphone. Called my own burner number, just to see. It rang once, then my own voice picked up. I'm not home. I'm not me. Leave something I can use. I hung up, drove west, as far as I could go. Stopped at a beach town nobody visits. Rented a room in cash. No windows. I wrapped myself in a blanket, taped the doors shut, pressed my back to the wall. It didn't matter, because the recorder was already on. I don't remember bringing it, but it sat on the table, light blinking. The screen flashed. Tracking motion, yes, and then beneath it newer text, host control, minimal, live feed, ready, the air changed. Pressure dropped, like a storm in my lungs. My legs moved without me. I stood up, reached for the knife, but my hand twisted away. I walked to the mirror, watched as I moved without will. I smiled. He smiled. The voice came from my throat, but it wasn't mine. We're ready to record the final act. Then darkness, cold, and a single sentences poking through my own teeth. Tell me what I do next. I don't remember walking here. I don't remember opening the door. I don't remember pressing record, but I must have. Because the red light is blinking. The room is cold. My hands are shaking. But I'm not moving. He is. He's standing in front of the mic. My face, my clothes, my skin, but not me. I'm behind the glass now, watching like a soundproof memory. I try to scream, but nothing comes out. He smiles, presses the headphones against his ears, and says into the mic with my voice, "This is the last file, the one that finishes the broadcast." He takes a breath, deep, calm. "I'm Jason Hart. I spoke into something I shouldn't have. I recorded what should never have been captured, and now I belong to the edit. I bang on the glass. I tried to break it. It doesn't move, doesn't even rattle." He continues, "You think listening is safe. You think silence is protection. But once you hear him, you never stop playing back." He lifts something from the table, the last tape, blank, unlabeled. He slides it into the deck, presses record, the reels spin, and the air changes again. My lungs freeze, my heartbeat slows, my reflection is gone from the glass, replaced by static. But I'm still thinking, still conscious. I realize it then. I'm not behind the glass. I'm inside the tape, he dubbed me. Bit by bit, over days, over months, he took every word I ever spoke and looped them into a vessel, a cassette made of memory. My last scream was the final cut, and now I'm part of the archive. I can feel him wearing me, talking in my voice, walking in my shape, saying things I never thought, but sounding exactly like I would. And the worst part is, it works. People believe him. They don't hear the difference. Not yet, but they will. Because he's spreading again, copying, ripping, stitching himself into new voices, new tapes, new mouths. Yours, maybe, your speakers, your dreams. Because if you're hearing this, if these words are inside your ears right now, he's already recording you too. You can throw away the file, you can delete the track, but you heard it, you let him in. The tape doesn't end when the reels stop. The tape ends when you speak. So don't answer, don't reply, don't whisper, don't describe what you heard, or he'll find it. Your voice, and he'll wear it. And then one day someone will play a tape, a blank one, and hear you saying, "Tell me what you heard."